The following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFN Geek, and today I have a special review for you guys. I noticed the other day that I finally hit another milestone on my channel. I have now reached 700 subscribers, so I'm coming to you with a special review in honor of reaching 700 subs. And today we're going to be taking a look at what is, in my opinion, from all the reviews I've seen of people who got this set when it first came out. I admit I first got it when it came out, so that's how long behind I am in my reviews. But today we're going to be taking a look at one of the most sought after box sets from the Transformers Legacy Year 1 line, and it is the Transformers Legacy Year 1 Hasbro Pulse exclusive A Hero is Born box set. So this is basically a box set that contains the Transformers Legacy Year 1 action figures of the characters of Orion Pax and Alpha Trion. And yes, so this is, from what I've seen, in the box set that contains two of the more sought after figures of the entire Legacy line, including Legacy Evolution Year 2. So here on the front of the box, you've got some artwork of Alpha Trion working on Orion Pax. Next, on this side of the box, you've got a headshot of Alpha Trion. There's his name on the side of the box, since the official name of this box set is A Hero is Born orange set. On this side, you've got Orion Pax, and this is basically a scene. The box art. Well, it didn't actually appear in the G1 cartoon. It's based on the scene, or the moment rather, in what is personally my all-time favorite episode of Transformers Generation 1, War Dawn, when Orion Pax, a young Autobot who has been injured in battle by Megatron, is brought to the eldest of the Autobots, Alpha Trion, for repair, and Alpha Trion gives him the Matrix of Leadership, and with the power of Vector Sigma, Alpha Trion upgrades Orion Pax into the Autobot leader, Optimus Prime. Hence the title of the box set being A Hero is Born, because the moment when Alpha Trion restores Orion Pax, that is the moment when, and the hero that is born is Optimus Prime. So here on the top of the box, you've got the Legacy Year 1 logo, you've got the artwork continuing down here to the front of the box. On this side, you've got Orion Pax and here Alpha Trion. I probably showed that already. I apologize for repeating myself. And the artwork continues down here to the underside of the packaging. So you can see the table that Orion Pax is lying on. And I love how, for the box art, instead of trying to hide Orion Pax's hand, they instead put it in front of the word Legacy. So it's saying that one of the greatest legacies of the Transformers is Orion Pax upgrading into Optimus Prime, and I just love that. So coming down here to the back of the box, you've got product photos of Orion Pax and Alpha Trion. They're both repaints and retools of previously released Transformers figures. Orion Pax is a repaint and retool of Studio Series 86 Kup and Alpha Trion Studio Series 86 Scourge. Orion Pax transforms back and forth from his robot mode to his vehicle mode in just 22 steps, and Alpha Trion transforms from his robot mode to his vehicle mode in 21 steps. And the reason why I keep saying this is a box set rather than a 2-pack is because in addition to the Alpha Trion and Orion Pax action figures, you also get Vector Sigma, along with the key that activates it. And that's another parallel to the episode War Dawn that this set is based on, because earlier in the Generation 1 cartoon, there was a 2-part episode known as The Key to Vector Sigma, in which Megatron steals the key that activates Vector Sigma. And in the Transformers Generation 1 cartoon, Vector Sigma was the source of what gave machines life and turned them into living Transformers. And in the 2-part episode, The Key to Vector Sigma, Megatron used it to create the Stunticons, who combined into Menasor, who was given a combiner in the Legacy Year 1 line. And then in Part 2, Optimus Prime used the Key to Vector Sigma to bring to life the Aerobots, who combine into Superion. The last set of action figures we got of Superion / the Aerobots were the Combiner Wars figures back in 2015. And the reason why I'm mentioning the Key to Vector Sigma is because in the episode War Dawn, the Aerobots get sent back in time to the past, right before the war between the Autobots and Decepticons started, and the Aerobots are the group of Autobots who bring Orion Pax to Alpha Trion. And so, between the events that happen in the Key to Vector Sigma and War Dawn, a time paradox is created where Optimus Prime and the Autobots create the Aerobots in the Earth year of 1985, but then the Aerobots time travel to the past 9 million years ago, and they loosely help Alpha Trion on rebuild Orion Pax into Optimus Prime. So I've always loved that time paradox between the key to Victor Sigma and War Dawn. And so yes, I'm really excited to get this set. And for the size of action figures that Alpha Trion and Orion Pax are, along with Victor Sigma, I think the size of box they come in is a little too large for it. Just to give you guys an idea of what I mean by that, here is Studio Series 86 Kup up standing next to the box, and here also is Studio Series 86 Scourge. And as you can see, for the size of figures that they are, I think the box might be a little too big. I mean, granted, Scourge is a little wide, and Alpha Trion's a retool of him, but still, I think they could have made the box a little smaller than what it actually is. But I'm just really amazed that we actually got this set. A lot of Transformers fans and collectors have said they've got the set primarily for Alpha Trion because as this is not only the most recent and only a handful of action figures that Alpha Trion has been given throughout the years, but it's now become the one that is the most accurate to his appearance in the Transformers Generation 1 cartoon and also the comic books. The previous offerings of Alpha Trion that we got were the Cyber, not counting exclusives, even though this one is an exclusive. The first modern day Alpha Trion action figure collectors were able to get was Titan's Return Alpha Trion, which looked nothing like Alpha Trion did in the Generation 1 cartoon. Then we got the Power of the Prime's Prime Master Alpha Trion figure, which looked even less like Alpha Trion. I have those two Alpha Trion figures, but unfortunately I didn't bring them out to do size comparisons with Alpha Trion. But apart from those figures, pretty much the only other action figure of Alpha Trion figure that I personally felt was worth getting was the Cyberverse version of Alpha Trion. Even though it's not Generation 1 Alpha Trion compared to the previously mentioned figures, that version was, until the Legacy figure was released, the most accurate Alpha Trion action figure to date. So, yeah, this, in my opinion, Alpha Trion is the selling figure of this box set. Make no mistake, I'm still happy to get a new action figure of Orion Pax because, well, compared to previous Orion Pax action figures, just like Alpha Trion, this might be the most quintessential Orion Pax action figure ever released. That said, it is quite impressive that Orion Pax, the young version of Optimus Prime before he was given the Matrix of Leadership, that he got an action figure based on his appearance in the G1 cartoon in the Legacy Year 1 line last year in 2022, and now this year in 2023, he got another deluxe figure in the Legacy Evolution Year 2 line based on his appearance in IDW's comic books. And even though they're basically different versions of Orion Pax, I just find it funny that the pre-Matrix of Leadership version of Optimus Prime, I've got a figure in both Legacy Year 1 and Legacy Year 2. And they were both repaints and retools of previously released figures that were released as exclusives. So whether or not we'll once again get another action figure of Orion Pax released at mass retail is said to be certain. Is uncertain. It's said to be seen, is what I meant and to say. I believe this might be the first ever version of Vector Sigma that's been officially released by Hasbro. I could be wrong. There could have been one released at BotCon, the official Transformers convention. But the inclusion of Vector Sigma is a nice touch. So without further delay, let's get after having this figure for almost a year, let's finally get Alpha Trion and Orion Pax from the Hero Who's Born 2-pack out of their box and take a close look at them in their robot modes. Alright, and so before we actually release them from the packaging, here is what Orion Pax and Alpha Trion look like inside the box. And as you can see, this is the reason why I said the box might have been a little big. It's because of where they stashed the accessory pieces. They have Orion Pax sitting on top of his and Vector Sigma. I don't understand why they couldn't put Vector Sigma up here in between Orion Pax and Alpha Trion. But apart from that, I'm really thrilled with how these figures look, even still inside the packaging. The whole year that I've owned this, I heard something rattling around inside, and one of the tail fins for Alpha Trion's vehicle mode, it unfortunately accidentally popped off while inside the box. You can see that one right there remained attached, and the one I'm holding is the one that fell off. Hopefully that's the only part of these figures that figures that hasn't been damaged too much. But yeah, it's really interesting the way Hasbro decided to package these guys with Orion Pax standing on top of Vector Sigma. Maybe that's an inside joke to Vector Sigma being what's responsible for Orion Pax being reborn into Optimus Prime. But regardless, let's get these guys eyes free and take a closer look at them both. Alright, so as I adjust my camera here, this is what you get in the Transformers A Hero is Born box set. You get a Voyager class figure of Alpha Trion, a deluxe class figure of Orion Pax, and not quite as tall as a deluxe class action figure, you get Vector Sigma as well. So Vector Sigma is a nice inclusion here, and so I'll take a look at it really fast. So yeah, this is Vector Sigma, and the reason why the stand that it's on is crystal clear is because in the G1 cartoon, when Vector Sigma just floated up in the air of the chamber on planet Cybertron that it was stored in, and the key is removable, and the key is accurate to how it appeared in the key to Vector Sigma. But unfortunately, the way it's shaped, there's no 5mm peg, so it's only a handful of Transformers action figures that have uh, movable fingers that can open and close their hands properly that will be able to hold the key. And so I personally think that's why the key E has been designed to be screen accurate so that you insert it onto the top of Vector Sigma and just leave it there. So yeah, that's why the stand is clear to make it look like Vector Sigma's floating up in the air, and so at certain angles, if you can find something that can make the stand almost camouflage, or if you can find a semi-low res camera like mine unfortunately is, then it can kind of look, it can in some angles look like it's disappeared here, but it is a nice attempt on Hasbro and Takara Tomi's part to try and mimic Vector Sigma, just being a golden orb that floated up in the air waiting to grant life to anyone who asked it to. The stand itself, oh, if I can gently place Vector Sigma without it rolling around, the stand itself is broken into two parts as well. Uh, the base of the stand is cross-shaped to go with the pole of the stand is cross-shaped like the center of the base. I don't know if I can get my camera at a good enough angle to see the cross shape, but yeah, there it is. I did insert it all the way, and it feels like it's designed not to be removable, so I'm not going to pull it back out. The top of the base is a 5mm peg, so if you wanted to, you could have someone stand on this to make it look like they're flying or jumping off the ground on one foot, but I wouldn't recommend putting anything heavier than Vector Sigma on this stand due to the plastic being crystal clear and potentially becoming fragile very easily over time. As for Vector Sigma itself, I believe it's not quite the size of a tennis ball. I was going to bring out a golf ball that I have to do a size comparison with it, but I forgot to grab it, so I apologize for forgetting to do that. But yeah, that's just roughly the size that Vector Sigma is. It's in between the size. It's almost the size of a tennis ball. Unfortunately, I don't have a tennis ball to do a size comparison with, but yeah, it's a pretty decent sized sphere here, and it is cartoon accurate. And first, we'll take a look really quickly at Orion Pax. So here he and like I said Ed, a moment ago, he is a repaint and retool of Transformers Studio Series 86 Kup. And the main reason for this is because the first ever action figure of Orion Pax that was released, it was released, I believe, back in 2005 in honor of the 20th anniversary of when the character of Orion Pax was introduced to the Transformers fiction in the G1 episode War Dawn, and it was Takara Tomi's distributor in Japan, Hobby Shop, who distributed a lot of Takara Tomi's exclusive Transformers figures. I believe it was done through the Takara Tomy Mall. But Hobby Shop, along with Takara Tomy, were the ones who decided that looking around at the Transformers action figures that were released in the original Generation 1 line, the one that made the most sense to turn into an action figure of Orion Pax was Generation 1 Kup. And the reason for that is because of Kup's vehicle mode being a Cybertronian pickup truck. Since Orion Pax is the young Optimus Prime, it would make sense that before he had the Matrix of Leadership, he would have a pickup truck for his alternate mode, and when he's given the Matrix of Leadership from Alpha Trion, his vehicle mode upgrades from a pickup truck to a semi-truck. So I personally think that was a brilliant choice going with Generation 1 Kup as the base for action figures of Orion Pax. But yeah, I do love how with the retooled parts Orion Pax has to distinguish him from Kup are his robot mode chest and I believe his robot mode head, and I think those are the only newly sculpted parts that Orion Pax has to distinguish him from Kup. Everything else about these figures is the same, so if you were to take the heads and the chests off, you'd have the exact same figure done in 2 different colors. And on that note, the gimmick with Studio Series 86 Kup is that in the Transformers Generation 1 movie that was released in 1986, his arms and legs were torn off by the Sharkticons, and it wasn't until after Hot Rod and Kup were rescued by the Dinobots and Wheelie that they were able to put Kup's arms and legs back on. And so the Studio Series 86 Kup figure, is what I was trying to say, has the gimmick of the arms and legs popping off, and so every figure that's been mold mates with Studio Series Kup has that same gimmick as well. So even though in the Transformers Generation 1 cartoon, Orion Pax didn't lose his arms and legs, you can pop them off. And if you wanted to, you could swap arms and legs out between Orion Pax and Kup. If you wanted to mix and match them up if you want. And right now on screen doing it for the first time. They're not wanting to correct properly, but yeah, if you wanted to, you could give Kup and Orion Pax's arms and legs to each other. If you just want to see what that looks like. There is Kup with bright blue legs and red lower arms, and vice versa for Orion Pax. Here he is with one of Kup's arms and legs. So there he is with a gray leg and a black tire and a lower forearm with a white hand with a gray hand instead of a blue one. But yeah, it's some really nice mix and matching you can do between the two of them. So that does give them play value. You having the swappable limbs. And one thing that I decided to do just to try and further distinguish Kup and Orion Pax from each other, fresh out of the box. I don't know I honestly don't know which is the correct one or not, but just one little thing I wanted to do to further distinguish Kup and Orion Pax from each other is I have their shoulders facing the opposite directions. So Orion Pax's shoulders, I don't know if you can see that angled sculpting right there, but it angles upward on Orion Pax and it angles downward on Kup. So that's just another that's just something you can do to further distinguish these two from each other, is have the shoulders facing opposite directions. And of course, for a special size comparison, here is the Transformer that Orion Pax ultimately becomes. Thanks to Alpha Trion giving him the Autobot Matrix of Leadership. Here he is next to Earthrise Optimus Prime. Now I know storyline-wise within Transformers fiction it would have made more sense to bring out Siege Optimus Prime, but in the Generation 1 cartoon, Optimus Prime, after he's upgraded and given the Matrix of Leadership, his Cybertronian alt mode is never shown. And we just jump from him being Orion Pax to the vehicle mode of a semi-truck that he gets after he arrives on planet Earth. And actually, on that note, Orion Pax's alt mode was never shown in the G1 cartoon. Again, because he was a character originally created for the G1 cartoon series. The same is true for Alpha Trion, and most of the characters that were original characters created for the G1 cartoon, their alt modes weren't shown and they didn't transform. And those that did, we've only gotten action figures of them very recently, such as DevCon or Elita 1. But yeah, there he is next to Earthrise Optimus Prime. So yeah, again, it wasn't until the Generation 1 Orion Pax figure that was painted from Generation 1 Kup that was released by eHobby Shop in 2005. It wasn't until that figure was released that the idea of Orion Pax having a pickup truck for his alt mode was introduced to the Transformers fans, but after it was introduced, fans from what I've seen wholeheartedly embraced the idea of Orion Pax having a pickup truck for his vehicle mode. And for one last special size comparison of Orion Pax, here he is next to the other Orion Pax figures that I have in my Transformers collection. And I almost have them lined up in the order in which they were released, but here on this side we've got the Transformers Generations Thrilling 30/IDW Orion Pax action figure. This was the first modern day Orion Pax figure released, and it was the first Hasbro released Orion Pax action figure when it came out back in 2014. We then got the Titans Return Orion Pax action figure, which was actually released in a Transformers a special edition box set with a deluxe figure of Optimus Prime. So technically, it's the only Titans Return action figure that wasn't actually a part of the Titans Return line, but since it's a repaint and retool of Titans Return Kup, by all accounts, this is Titans Return Orion Pax. And then we've got Power of the Primes Orion Pax, who was the most G1 was the Orion Pax action figure that looked most like his appearance in the Generation 1 cartoon until the Legacy Year 1 figure here was released. But yeah, these are attempts at Hasbro over the years to give Transformers fans and collectors Orion Pax action figures. And so here they are lined up in the order that they've been released over the years. And out of all of them, as far as which one is my favorite one, and for me personally, it's a tie between Titans Return, Orion Pax, and now Legacy Orion Year 1 Orion Pax. So technically, I have 5 action figures of Orion Pax in my Transformers collection. The 5th one I still have in the box. I haven't gotten out and reviewed it yet, and it's the Legacy Evolution IDW Orion Pax action figure. But yeah, I'm really impressed with how the action figures that Orion Pax, the young Optimus Prime, has been given. They're all pretty decent in their own right. The one that might be the most discouraging for fans and collectors is the Power of the Primes one, because even though it's the physically tallest, it's part of the Power of the Primes gimmick of transforming into Optimus Prime's chest due to the gimmick of having a smaller robot upgrade into a larger, more powerful robot. But regardless, there's all of my Orion Pax action figures that I've looked at, that I have in my collection so far. One minor gripe, the only real minor gripe I have with Orion Pax is that he comes with the exact same accessory pieces that were given to Kup. The laser gun, and I don't mind since it's cast in the same red plastic that's used on his shoulders and his chest. I think the red bits on the upper arm from the elbow above, and also on the chest, I think that's red paint. The centerpiece of the backpack right here is red paint, and then the very back of the backpack is red plastic. So, same thing with the pelvis. It's actually red paint as well. I think the base plastic might be black plastic, but I'm not certain. And one thing to note is that all the parts on Orion Pax here that are white, the white on his chest, his pelvis, and his upper legs, that's all white paint. That is a little discouraging to see that. But he really did come out great. He does have light piping like Kup. I don't know how well my camera's picking it out, but he does have some decent light piping in his head. And it doesn't help that Hasbro and Dakar Tomy painted the eyes blue. So you do have to shine a bright light directly behind it for the light piping to activate. I won't go into the articulation since I Asian too much, but it's basically the same. If you have Studio Series Kup, it's the same thing. Double jointed neck, so the head can swivel 360 degrees left and right. It can look up and down slightly. Universal joints at the shoulder, so the arms can go forwards and backwards, in and out. Swivel joint at the bicep, of course, due to the detachable arm gimmick. In ratcheted elbows, which is a little shame. Waist swivel, but right out of the box it is a little tight. Universal jointed hips, so legs can go forward and backward, in and out. And of course, swivel jointed thighs, ratcheted knees. And at the feet, the toes can go up and down due to transformation. But yeah, that is Legacy Year 1 Orion Pax. He has become the most cartoon accurate looking out of all the Orion Pax action figures that have been released. So in my opinion, even though he's the less exciting of the two action figures you get in this set, I still think he's a nice addition to your Transformers collection. And with that said, let's move on to the other action figure you get, which in my opinion is the figure that's the selling point of the Hero is Born Orion box set, and it is Voyager class Legacy Alpha Trion. So yeah, as I said, this is the most Generation 1 accurate looking Alpha Trion action figure that we've gotten. And this has become, for many Transformers fans and collectors, the quintessential Alpha Trion action figure to have in your collection. The previous Orion Alpha Trion action figures that were released, they were not at all accurate to Alpha Trion's appearance in the Generation 1 cartoon. And just like Orion Pax, Alpha Trion never actually transformed into his vehicle mode. So for Alpha Trion, it's been a bit of a toss-up. It's been a enigma for Hasbro and Tomy when it's come to designing action figures of Alpha Trion. What vehicle mode he would possess. The first ever Alpha Trion action figure that was released was the BotCon Shattered Glass Orion Alpha Trion figure that was released at BotCon 2006. That figure was a repaint and slight retool of the Transformers Cybertron Voyager class Vector Prime action figure. And because of that Shattered Glass Alpha Trion action figure, the handful of Alpha Trion action figures we've gotten that actually transform into some kind of a vehicle, they have had the same common feature of having a Cybertronian jet for their vehicle modes. And because he has because in the Transformers Generation 1 comic books, Alpha Trion was portrayed having a pair of wings on his back. In the Generation 1 cartoon, Alpha Trion, I guess you could say he did have a pair of wings, but they hung directly behind him as almost like a double flapped cape. But because of that, the trend started, I think it might have been, I can't remember if there was an official deluxe figure released at BotCon or if it was photos of some custom figures I saw. But the idea crept up over the years of future Alpha Trion action figures being repaints of characters who transform into Cybertronian jets, and with the wings hanging off of his back, the Generation 1 Jet Transformers character that made the most sense for Alpha Trion to be mold mates with ended up being Generation 1 Scourge. So yeah, Legacy Alpha Trion here, he is a repaint and a retool of Studio Series 86 Scourge. The parts on Alpha Trion that are brand new sculpting, the head sculpt of course is brand new, so lowering his weapon so I can get as close up on my camera as I can. So there's Alpha Trion's face sculpt. That is accurate to his appearance in the Generation 1 cartoon, and I really love that. I've been for years wanting a transforming Alpha Trion action figure that looked like he hopped off of the screen of the Generation 1 cartoon. So that is really nice there to see. And I just noticed that right out of the box, his wings technically are mistransformed, so I apologize for not having that correct right away, but hey, but there you go. There is Alpha Trion with his wings fully opened up. And if you wanted to try and distinguish Alpha Trion further from Scourge, you can angle his larger wings here on the back. Here on Scourge, I have them sitting flat. But yeah, I really enjoy how Alpha Trion turned out. The smaller wings here, they are new sculpting compared to Scourge, of course. And I believe the back piece that covers the robot mode face, that is a new sculpted part as well between Alpha Trion and Scourge. But apart from that, and I believe the only other retooled art that Alpha Trion has, apart from his head and his wings and the thruster for the alt mode, which becomes his backpack. The only other sculpted part Alpha Trion has is his robot mode torso with the Autobot logo. That's a newly sculpted part. Whereas here on Scourge with his Decepticon logo, that's the original torso. But apart from those pieces, everything else is sculpted the same. The arms, the legs, the feet, the joints, all the joints are the same. The only thing that's different that distinguishes Alpha Trion from Scourge is that moving Scourge's blaster. Scourge has one of his hands is a closed fist, while the other hand is an open fist. And for what was actually the second version of this mold to be released, which was the Studio Series 86 Sweeps, the hands were reversed. The sweeps have a closed fist on the left side hand and an opened right side hand. Here for Alpha Trion, Hasbro and Tomy decided to give Alpha Trion both open hands right here. So that's nice to see that. This mold has been used 4 times. The fourth and most recent version of the mold was the Legacy Evolution IDW Senator Ratbat figure. I haven't gotten that round to reviewing that figure yet, but hopefully I will soon. But as far as I know, I don't think there's a version of this mold that's been released yet that has two closed fists on it, as I accidentally bumped my tray. But that is a nice distinction between Alpha Trion and Scourge, is that he doesn't have any fists. His hands are both opened up. So that is really nice of that to see. And just for a quick special size comparison, here is Alpha with another Alpha Trion action figure I have in my collection. Here's the Transformers Cyberverse Ultra Class Alpha Trion figure. And like I said, compared to the other versions of Alpha Trion that were released in the overall Generations line, Chug style Alpha Trion action figures, this one right here, the Legacy Year 1 figure, has become the most geo-inaccurate and the quintessential Alpha Trion action figure to have in your collection. The closest we got was Titan's Return Alpha Trion, which didn't look a thing like this at all. I actually customized that figure into, I repurposed it into Leo Prime. And then the only other Alpha Trion figure we've gotten that actually transforms was the Prime Master version of Alpha Trion. But that's the least geo-inaccurate Alpha Trion figure ever released to date. And apart from some Dakar Tomy exclusives, the only other Alpha Trion figures we've gotten have been a handful of non-transforming statuette Alpha Trion figures, but amazingly, in the mainline non-transforming lines of Transformers action figures, such as the Transformers Red series or the Transformers, I can't remember Super 7 if there is one or not, but in the mainline non-transforming lines of Transformers action figures, Alpha Trion, I've always been surprised to see this, is that he's one of the characters that hasn't been given a figure in those lines, so I'm at least glad that we got a fully transforming figure of him here in Legacy. But yeah, here he is next to the Cyberverse figure, and until this figure was released, this was the most geo-inaccurate looking Alpha Trion action figure that was ever released, even though it's technically the Cyberverse version of Alpha Trion, so it is nice to have a more geo-accurate Alpha Trion action figure that is actually supposed to be Generation 1 Alpha Trion. It's hard for Cyberverse Alpha Trion to stand up because he technically doesn't have any bottom sections to his feet due to how he transforms. And that's one of the reasons why I'm glad they went with the Scourge mold, because at least he has some heel spurs and toes to help him stand up. But yeah, that is Alpha Trion and Orion Pax. I apologize for not going through Alpha Trion's articulation, but the video's already gone on much longer than I wanted it to. But yeah, here are Alpha Trion and Orion Pax once again standing beside Vector Sigma. So let's get these guys transformed into their alternate modes and wrap up the review. Alright, and so here are Orion Pax and Alpha Trion transformed into their alt modes. And like I said, and since they're repaints and retools of Studio Series 86 Kup and Scourge, they pretty much have the same pros and cons that Kup and Scourge did. Orion Pax, for some reason, he's sitting at an awkward angle. He's not wanting to sit with all 4 of his tires flat against his vehicle mode. So, and another thing is the energon canister or gas canister, or that Kup came with. Everyone called it a juice box since it looked like a juice box with a straw on top. It doesn't want to stay pegged in to Orion Pax. Acts even less securely than Kup did. So one retool part I wish they would have done was design new 5mm ports here on the back of Orion Pax's vehicle mode, so his laser gun and his energon fuel tank could fit on there. But with the way I have him transformed, he doesn't want to roll that well. Kup had the same problem with not wanting to roll that great, so unfortunately Orion Pax has the same problem with his wheels not wanting to roll properly, and I think it's because of the roll-up mode knee spikes. They want to, and there's only a hairline of space between them and the tops of the wheels, so even if you have him on a flat surface, he doesn't roll around. He rolls around kind of well, but it doesn't feel like it is really due to that low clearance space that he has. And then, of course, here is Alpha Trion. He's Ion, who's mold mates with Studio Series A6 Scourge. So, same transformation where the remote head is peeking up out right here. There's a newly sculpted cockpit on Orion Pax, which looks nice. And apart from that piece, pretty much the vehicle mode's almost the same, with the exception of the underside wings on the bottom. Alpha Trion does come with the same laser gun that Scourge did. I apologize for not showing that off when I was going over Alpha Trion in his robot mode, but I will acknowledge that Alpha Trion is lacking the blast effect piece that came with Scourge and also the sweeps. So it is a shame that it's like that. But all things considered, I can't fault Hasbro and Tomy for not including that with this set, especially since we got Vector Sigma in the set as well. So here are Orion Pax and Alpha Trion next to Vector Sigma. Here they are next to their mold mates of Scourge and Kup, and they are pretty fantastic looking retools, tools of these figures respectively. And for some more size comparisons, here is Legacy Orion Pax next to Thrilling 30, Titan's Return, and Power of the Primes Orion Pax. Power of the Primes Orion Pax is Optimus Prime's truck mode, so that's why he's the most different looking. But yeah, they are pretty impressive action figures lined up here, and two of these figures are repaints of Kup, previously released Kup figures. The Power of the Primes and Thrilling 30 Orion Pax figures are entirely new molds, but considering the fact that the most recent Kup action figures of Orion Pax have been repaints and retools of Kup, continuing the trend started with Hobby Shop and Takara Tomy back in 2005. I honestly believe that we'll be seeing that if there are any future more Orion Pax action figures released, they will most likely be repaints and retools rather than original molds. And the Legacy Evolution Orion Pax figure being a repaint and a retool of Siege Hound is probably proof to that fact that Orion Pax it'll probably be many years before he gets a new action figure that's an entirely new sculpt. And here is Orion Pax next to Earthrise Optimus Prime with some of the with a third-party upgrade, a 3D printed kit. And as you can see, yeah, it is pretty incredible that when he was Orion Pax, Optimus Prime went from having a Cybertronian pickup truck for his alt mode to, after he arrived on planet Earth, having an Earth mode semi-truck. So I've always wholeheartedly embraced Takara Tomy and Hobby Shop's decision to have Orion Pax be mold mates with Kup due to him having a Cybertronian pickup truck for an alt mode. And then after getting the Matrix of Leadership, Optimus Prime upgrades from just a pickup truck to an entire 18-wheeler semi. So I've always loved that upgrade of his vehicle mode from when he's Orion Pax to when he's Optimus Prime. And for one last size comparison for Alpha Trion, here he is next to the Cyberverse figure, and the Cyberverse figure is much bulkier and larger, but again, this is more the Cyberverse version of Alpha Trion than the Generation 1 version. But as I said, the previous offerings for Generation 1 Alpha Trion, they were they were they didn't look a thing like Alpha Trion's appearance in the Generation 1 cartoon by Sunbow Productions released back in 1985. But this here, the repaint and retool of Studio Series A6 Scourge, it's really accurate looking to Alpha Trion's G1 cartoon appearance. And again, Alpha Trion's vehicle mode was never shown in the G1 cartoon shows, so his vehicle mode has always been an enigma. Basically, just like Orion Pax here, as I showed with all the Orion Pax figures that were previously released. Alpha Trion and Orion Pax's vehicle modes. Hasbro and Takara Tomy technically have the freedom to give them whatever vehicle modes they want, since they didn't originally have any when they were first introduced back in 1985. But I do like how these new figures here came out. So bringing back Vector Sigma. So to wrap up the review for the final proverbial question, do I recommend getting the Transformers Legacy Year 1, A Hero Was Born box set and adding it to your Transformers collection? I absolutely do. You cannot go wrong having the A Hero Was Born box set in your Transformers collection. Action Orion Pax, and most definitely Alpha Trion are must-have Transformers action figures. Vector Sigma is a nice inclusion, and the fact that it comes with the key referencing the key to Vector Sigma is a nice touch. And this box set, it is based on the G1 episode War Dawn, where Alpha Trion upgrades Orion Pax into Optimus Prime. And speaking of War Dawn, that is what the Hasbro Pulse exclusive for Legacy Evolution was all about. I'll get it around to reviewing that box set soon, hopefully. But yes, in a celebration of having reached 700 subscribers, here is one of the I personally believe is one of the best box sets to be released in the Legacy line so far. It is the Transformers Hasbro Pulse exclusive A Hero Was Born box set of Transformers Legacy Alpha Trion and G1 Orion Pax. I highly recommend you get this set. Ed, you cannot go wrong having these figures in your Transformers collection. And so until next time, you guys, thank you so much for helping me reach 700 subscribers. And remember to stay safe, stay healthy, and until next time, you guys, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.